Good
You're live.
afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome everyone. And thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Ashley Missler. I am High Speed Rail Authority's small business advocate, and I oversee the small business program. My contact information is listed below, but before we start, I wanted to discuss bring up the slides, please. Thank you. Sorry. So my contact information is listed on this slide here. And then before we start, I wanted to kind of discuss the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen. Please utilize this to type your questions during the presentation, and we will circle back to this, the questions at the end of today's session and address all of your questions. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, my name is Ashley Missler, and today I'm HSR's small business advocate, and today we have a full agenda, so let's begin with some introductions. Sarita, would you like to start us off?
Thank you, Ashley. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarita C.C. Pacheco, and I'm the Small Business Compliance Manager overseeing small business compliance.
Anyone else want to hop in next, Wayne or Michael?
Wayne,
I will. My name's Wayne Gross. I'm a business outreach liaison with the Department of General Services, Office of Small Business and DVBE Services.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, or I should say good afternoon. I am Michael Aguilio. I'm the Outreach Manager with the Department of Transportation in the Office of Civil Rights.
Great, thank you, everyone. So today we're going to begin with a brief overview of the small business program. And as some of you may or may not have attended the first portion of the pre-bid this morning, I'm going to do a high-level review of the slides from the previous presentation, and then we'll hear from our compliance team. DGS will follow that presentation with a presentation on state certifications, and then Caltrans will join us to discuss federal certifications. And at the end of the workshop, we'll have time for questions and answers. Next slide, please. So as many of you are aware, the authority has an aggressive 30% overall small business goal, which includes a 10% goal for disadvantaged business enterprises and a 3% goal for disabled veteran business enterprises. We have a good number of businesses that are already performing on the project who come from all over the state, as you'll see on this participation map. In order to meet your goal, you're going to work with my team and your designated small business officer. It is very important that you follow protocol for adding a designated small business officer early on in your project, and that you're using small businesses that have been approved to work on the project. If you're looking for more businesses to do work on the project, I recommend that you leverage my team, and we will be happy to partner with you to do workshops and help you try and find qualified businesses to perform on the project. Next slide, please. So HSR is not a certifying agency. We partner with a couple of different agencies to utilize their certification designations that you'll see listed on this slide here. I will let DGS and DOT go into more detail on their specific certifications. I would just like to add that anytime you want to bring a business on board, that they have to be certified with these departments, and their certifications must be current and valid the entire duration of the contract. Next slide, please. HSR has its own vendor registry named Connect HSR. It's free, online, simple to complete and use. We highly encourage all businesses to register here. Once you and your partnering business register, you'll be notified on all contract opportunities and workshops and educational materials and media that's dispersed throughout the project. There are many opportunities to bring your business on the project and to learn about HSR, how we do business, as well as industry information that will be listed on the site. So again, please make sure to register on Connect HSR. Next slide, please. So
Sorry about that. Give me just 1 second.
Sure, no problem. In addition to Connect HSR, I'll just go ahead and touch Wayne. We'll go into more detail on this, but you want to make sure that you're also registering on Cal eProcure for as a small business too, because that is the main house for all small businesses to register.
Brilliant.
While he's pulling this up, I'll add one more final piece on it. So this is kind of concludes my presentation on the small business, the high level overview. And I want to thank you for your time, but I did want to mention that in this virtual setting, we obviously are behind a screen, so it's challenging to make that personal connection. However, typically when we host these events in person, the whole point is to network, discuss qualifications, and exchange information. So to that extent, HSR will be posting all these presentations, documents, and actually a recording of this video and a list of attendees with their business type. Those will all be identified on our website. It will take a couple of weeks for that to get remediated and put on there, but I do recommend that you use that list and reach out to those that you have interest in partnering with, and just be mindful of the certain certification types. I would probably also give you a tip to just write down if there's something that anyone that you're wanting to partner with from that list, and kind of reaching out and then utilizing my team to make those connections if necessary. So thank you for your time. Next onto our agenda is a brief presentation from HSR's Compliance Manager, Cyrita Pacheco. Go ahead, Cece.
Thank you, Ashley. Good afternoon, everyone. We just want to give you a very high-level overview of small business compliance. As your partner with the authority, one of the first things you'll need to do is to appoint a small business officer. We call them an SBO. And your SBO will typically serve as the liaison between your business and the authority. Your small business officer will be expected to develop, implement, and monitor a small business performance plan, act as the lead for your contractors and your subcontractors regarding the small business program, its goals and objectives. This will include meeting with all small business subcontractors and ensuring their full understanding of the authority's small business program, reporting requirements, as well as their responsibilities and protections. Small business officers will also be responsible for posting a list of all of the small businesses that you're subcontracting with on your public website, and will have oversight on all on-site monitoring. In addition, small business officers will also be required to attend quarterly meetings with our small business compliance team regarding all overall small business utilization and strategies, and also to attend 2 business advisory council meetings per year. Next slide, please. Finally, it will be the responsibility of your small business officer to prepare and submit monthly, due the 15th of each month, a Form 103 and a prompt payment retainage report, a small business narrative report. This narrative will discuss your contract's small business activities, meetings, outreach events, challenges, or successes. Annually, will be due an annual report. It is similar to the monthly narrative, and it reflects what you've accomplished over the last year of your contract, what challenges you faced, and what plans you have in place to achieve your small business goals. Then, as needed, your small business officers will prepare and submit requests to add or request to substitute and terminate for small business subcontractors. Any small business subcontract agreements or purchase orders. This must be done within 14 days, regardless of the subcontractor, vendor, or vendor tier. And finally, your small business officers will prepare and submit any signed change or task orders, verifying the approved changes to the contract's value. Next slide, please. We're very excited to partner with you and aid in your success. You can visit our small business website 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on high-speed rail, hsr.ca.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyrita. And now we'll turn the mic over to Wayne from DGS.
Thank you, Ashley. This is how to do business with the state of California. Next slide. Here is my contact information, wayne.d.gross@dgs.ca.gov, and my phone number, 279-946-8387. And I remind everyone that I am here for you. And so there's never a dumb question. Your question won't come during my normal hours of 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. You'll be watching Dancing with the Stars on a Monday night with your partner, and that question will come up. You have my contact information. Use me, abuse me. Next slide, please. What are we going to be talking about? Next slide. The program itself, next slide. The state certifications, we do have 3 of them. Next slide. Bid solicitations, where are they housed? Next. The advocates, those are your new best friends. Next slide. The emergency register. So next slide. And commercially useful function. Basically, that's you're telling everyone what you can do. Last year, we bought $21.2 billion worth of goods and services. Unfortunately, we did not meet our 25% small business goal. We only achieved 18%. There were 2 big issues. One was the fire and the other was COVID. So hopefully with things kind of settling down now, we'll be able to reach those goals. And we didn't meet our DVBE goal of 3% for DVBs. We did 2.5. So next slide. As I said, we do have 3 certifications: small business for the purpose of public works, and disabled veteran business enterprise, or DVBE. Next slide. We have benefits for certification. We have a 5% bid preference. We have up to a 5% bid incentive for DVBEs, exclusive contract opportunities, Prompt Payment Act benefits. We work with DGS reciprocity partners, and we work with prime contractors. Next slide. We have the principle of KISS. For you old timers, you know what KISS stands for. Keep it simple, stupid. This is our mantra. For small business, you must be independently owned and operated, not dominant in your field. That means there's other people who can do what you do. Headquarters and owners are in California, and there is a 100 employee limit, and annual gross receipts cannot exceed an average of 16 million per year for the last 3 years. Next slide. For public works, they're the same, except for there's a 200 employee limit and a 37 million annual gross receipts. Effective January 1st, that 37 will become 38 million. And just a real quick sidebar, if you are a small business and you're way less than 100 employees or way less than the 16 million, you don't need to get the public works. It's only when you get up close to those numbers that you'd want to get the public works. Next slide. The DVB certification, you must be service disabled, at least 10% service-connected disability, and the DVBE must live in California. Next slide. And you must be 51% owner, and if you're part of LLCs, all of the disabled veterans have to be disabled. And here's the big one. The daily management must be by a disabled veteran. And home office must be in the United States, and you cannot be a foreign-based business. Next slide. This is our homepage at caleprocure.ca.gov. I always tell everyone, log in immediately. Next slide. We go to quick links, and you can either do the first option, find bid opportunities, or on the main page in the middle, it says California State Contracts Register, the CSCR, start a search. And then that's where you click. Next slide. And here is our search engine. You either can do it by event name, that would be a description, event ID if you happen to know what the contract number is, or by the department. Next slide. And you can also do an advanced search. Next slide. And you can do a search by either UNSPSC codes, service areas, those are the counties, and contract license types. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. And this is what the contracts look like. and you would just click on whichever one you were looking for. Next slide. And this is what a typical solicitation looks like. At the very top are 3 columns telling you when it was posted, gives you a little description. In the middle column, it has the event end date and time. This says 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If your solicitation arrives after that time, forget, you just wasted your time. On the right side, you have view your event, post a vendor ad, or view a vendor ad. And you'll notice that if you're not logged in, you will not get a lot of this information, in particular, post a vendor ad. Caltrans is fantastic in having mandatory pre-bid conferences. It's good if you are a sub, because the primes have to sign in, and if there isn't proof that they were at that pre-bid conference, their solicitation is not acceptable. And as a sub, you go and after the meeting is done, the agency says, okay, primes, go to your tables, and then you get to go over and introduce yourself to each one of the primes. Here again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Next slide. Next slide. Can we have, there we go. This is how to post an ad. Here again, the KISS principle, keep it simple. Your name, your email, your phone number, what you want to call it, and a description. You are given 2,000 characters, not words, characters. We always tell everyone, start out with your certification number. Why? Because then the prime can look you up in your profile and make sure that you're current, okay, that you're not going to let your certification slip, because you have to be completely certified during the entire contract. So kind of put that in your memory banks. Next slide. The advocates, these are the contacts. These are the gatekeepers of all of the agencies, okay? Next slide. Here we are back at Cali Procure. You want to click the bottom right, find training and resources. Next slide. Under the 5th heading, research and marketing, the 2nd bullet says contact a small business and DVBE advocate. Click it. Download the advocate directory. Next slide. And here you have a 235 line Excel spreadsheet of all the advocates. We have a thing called the small business DVB option, from 5,000 and a penny up to 250,000, and 5,000 and a penny up to 388,000 for public works. The 5,000 and a penny up to 250,000 minus a penny is for I'm having a brain freeze. Yes, I'll think of that. Anyway, the ones in yellow are what we call for the first policy. There are 18 agencies that have a first policy. What they have to do is go in and find either 2 small businesses or 2 DVBEs. It's mandatory that they go in there for you. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Okay. And Caltrans back in April or May created their first policy, and anything up to 388,000, their buyers have to come to you in the database first. Next slide. The emergency contract, because of COVID and the fires, my branch, my coworkers created this emergency database. Next slide. We started out with 15 categories. We are now up to, I think, almost 30. And so if you can be in any of these categories, I highly recommend that you get registered in the emergency registry. Next slide. And here again is that KISS principle, okay? Here are the 5 things you need: your certification number, your emergency categories, a description of the goods and services that you can provide, your business address, and contact information, both primary and emergency after hours. Next slide. And here again, we're at Tally Procure. The bottom right one is find training and resources. Next slide. The 4th heading, inside state contracting. The 3rd bullet is our emergency registry. Next slide. Next slide. And on the top left is where you, as a small business and or DVBE, would register. When you hit submit, you will not get a congratulations. Someone must review your application to make sure you do meet all the emergency criteria. And within 24 to 48 hours, you should get a congratulations. Next slide. Commercially useful function. To perform CUF, your business is executing a distinct element of the work, performing, managing, or supervising the work, performing work that is normal for the firm's business services and functions, negotiating price, determining quality and quantity, ordering, installing, and making payment, and not subcontracting a portion of the work greater than expected by industry practices. Next slide. CUF is not being done if you're an extra participant in a transition, contract, or project through which funds are passed in order to obtain the appearance of small business DVB participation, not being used to perform the work as stipulated in the bid, no longer used to provide goods and services listed in the initial bid. Next slide. Next slide. We talked about the program itself. Next slide. The state certifications. Next slide. Bid solicitations. Next. The advocates. Next. Commercially useful function. Next. And the emergency contract. Thank you for your participation, and we will hold till the end for questions. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Wayne. Okay, we'll move on to Michael now. Go ahead, Michael, the floor is yours.
Well, again, my name is Michael Agilio. I'm representing the Department of Transportation, otherwise known as Caltrans. Again, my office or my unit is a part of the Office of Civil Rights, and we handle all outreach. All right, so what I'm going to be talking about is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certification, otherwise known as DBE. As you know, there is a goal with the high-speed rail to meet this particular certification in their contracting for the rail. So let's talk about what's going on and how do you get the certification. So our learning objectives are pretty simple. We're going to talk about the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which I just mentioned, the program overview, the benefits of the said certification, and the eligibility requirements. All right, so for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, otherwise known as DBE, it is for a profit small business. So you have to be a for-profit small business. The owner must have least own 51% of the business, one or more, so there could be more of you, and are both socially and economically disadvantaged. Now, also, the management of the daily operation of the DBE business must be controlled by one or more of the socially and economically disadvantaged individual who owns it. So you just can't be the owner and don't even work in the business. You have to work as well as being owned of the business. So now, what is a social and economically disadvantaged person? Are, you know, they are USDOT defined as a social and economic disadvantaged individual as any individual who has been subject to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias within a American society because of his or hers identity as a member of a group or without regards to his or her individual qualities. Now, the DBE program was established in 1983 and is legislative mandate program implemented by the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, as a condition of states receiving federal funds. So we're not talking about just California. In this case, yes, but it regulates all states. Okay, so now what is the, next slide. I'm not exactly, next slide, there you go. The next one. I'm talking faster than the slides are moving and I apologize for that. All right, so what is a disadvantaged business enterprise, program objective? Now, the objectives are to ensure non-discrimination in the awards and administration of federal funded contracts in Caltrans Transit Airport Finance and Assistance Program. Now, in this case, we're talking about the high-speed rail, which does apply. To create a level playing field on the DBEs so it can compete fairly for federal funded contracts. Now, to ensure that the DBE program is narrowly tailored in accordance with applicable laws, to ensure that the only firms that are fully meets this part eligibility standards and permitted to do participate as DBEs, for clarification. So to ensure that these firms meet these eligibility requirements, it's all a part of what they call the CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, Section 49, CFR 26. Now, all of that is available to you. If you really want to look at it and you can't sleep at night, you can try to read it. The regulations are available, and I'll put it in the chat. www.ecfr.gov. So I'll make sure that everybody has that. Okay. Now, what we're looking at is the benefits of certification. Now, you want to know what's this all about. One of the particular things that we are trying to identify is the fact that high-speed rail has a participation goal for DBEs. And that's the reason why we're going over this. Now, for DBE, certification are recognized by subsecient local agencies in California. Basically, what it means is that we're not only speaking your DVB certification is good for many of the cities and the counties, as well as state agencies throughout the state of California that spends or participating on federal funded contracts. In this case, Caltrans does, as well as the high-speed rail. Now, becoming access to the prime contractor, you need to fill out a DB participation goal requirements, as Wayne alluded to about CUF, and of course, what the high-speed rail is looking for. Now, you're listed on the official CUPC database, which I'll talk to you about that shortly, and increasing the opportunities of all. Now, we're talking about, in this case, the high-speed rail. Now, if you're looking at branching out, the DB certification is recognized by 900 local agencies in California. We expand this opportunity to participate, as I said earlier, in the federal funds contracts. Now, this certification that's not even listed here is also doesn't expire. It doesn't expire unless, one, you sell your business, no longer in business, or you do not meet the qualifications to be a DBE. And it's good throughout the state, not the state, but throughout the United States. So there's the DBE goal, any state that uses federal money, usually these goals or this certification applies. So just be advised. Now, in this case, we're specifically talking about the high-speed rail and how it applies. So in this case, the California Unified Certification Program, otherwise as a CUPC, is the organization that certifies DBEs. Now, who are these agencies? The next slide will tell you. These agencies include the California Transportation Agency, otherwise known as Caltrans. You see BART, City of Fresno, City of Los Angeles. All of these agencies, all you can apply to get certified as a DBE. Now, everything is centralized in the sense that you go through these agencies to get certified, but all the information is housed in one place, just so you understand. But you can use anybody like here that is close to you that can help you get that certification, but these are the certifying agencies. Unlike what you might have for the small business and that DVBE, if you want to get certified there, you definitely have to go see Wayne and, or in this case, Department of General Services. All right, so now you know who certifies. Now you know what the certification is, some of the benefits that you have. Let's talk about what does it take to get certified? What eligibility requirements are there? Well, here they are. One, as I said to you earlier, you have to be social and economically disadvantaged. Okay, so, and that will go through. Now these agencies, these are 6 categories that you might meet, and they're listed on the federal website, the DB application. But here's the thing: one, the owner, of course, ownership has to be, as I mentioned earlier, social and economic disadvantage, and you have to be majority owner at 51%. You have to control the business, as I mentioned earlier. Just because you're social and economic disadvantage and you get certified, you must also work within that business, and you can't just subcontract out all the work to someone else and do none. The net worth is really important. It's personal net worth, so it's 1.32 million. So we're talking about personal net worth, so including your business and how much money you have, your net worth total. Okay, so just so you understand that. Now, your business size is defined by the Small Business Administration. It's all a part of what's available to you if you really need that information, but you definitely have to meet the network and, of course, the business size in order to qualify. Now, what is a social and economic disadvantage group? Here are the categories the 6 preemptive categories that are considered disadvantaged by the federal government. They include, of course, as you see here, the Asian Pacific, African American, Hispanic, Native American, subcontinent, and Asian, of course, and women. All of these are considered in that social and economic disadvantage preemptive groups that you can get certified under. Now, if you do not fall in one of these presumptive groups, you can submit a narrative explaining how you are socially and economically disadvantaged, and then they will consider it accordingly. But if you don't fall into these categories, of course. All right. Now, as I said earlier, and I'm going to keep mentioning this because it's really important, your DBE firm must be at least 51% owned by a social and economic disadvantaged individual or individuals. You really have to make sure that that is the case. That's the one that everybody seems to not understand, but that is the case. Now you must be, as I said earlier, you must control the business function, and you cannot just offset and be in name only. Okay. In this case, we don't have CUF in DBE, but it's similar to that, which is commercial lease for function. All right, so independently, business must be certified. In other words, you can't be a subsidiary of a larger company. This is solely owned by the individual himself. Some of these really are mirror the federal certificate, or not the federal, the state certification in regards to its application on how you apply for a small business and or disabled veteran business enterprise. Slightly different, but close. And I mentioned earlier, your net worth. This is your personal net worth, right? It has to be less than $1.32 million. Now, this is a lot smaller than a certified small business or a micro business, which we didn't touch on in the presentation that Wayne gave. But this is the prerequisite for being considered, or you can apply for a DBE. All right. So business size, we're talking about 3 years. Gross receipts cannot exceed 28.4 million, varies by industry. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you're less than 3 years average gross receipts, please, contact our certification officer, which I'll give you that information slowly. Some of this information is really hard to digest as I present it forward to you. We're going to give this presentation to the high speed rail, and they can share it with you. But when you have questions about certification, please get them answered prior to applying. This will save you time and energy to make sure that you do qualify. And so I just want to make sure it's easier for you. Now, applying for DBE certification, and I mentioned this earlier, the application process is not as easy as you would when you try to apply for a small business and or DVB certification with the state of California. Now, as it says, the process is really simple. You're going to apply. It's going to get to a certification analyst. The analyst will conduct interviews, make sure that all information is available and everything is filled out right. One of the big things that are not done or that we do for the DBE is there a site visit. We will visit, well, in this day and age, we actually do some of our site visit via Zoom or WebEx, where you'll walk around your office and show us what it looks like if we don't personally come to your area. Now, what we do with the site visits, we try to make sure that we do them in person. However, with new technology that's available today, they are site visits, and be aware that that does happen. That is part of the application process. That is really different than what the state does in regards to the small business DVBE. We come look at your office. Now, the analyst will talk, do another eligibility requirement recommendation. They would recommend whether or not you can be a DVB or not, a DBE or not. And if that is the case, then your certification will be determined and completed, and you will get your certification. It will then be listed on the CUCP website, which is here. Next slide. There we go. Here we go. It's really straightforward. If you have any questions about the California UCP, the system and how it works, there is our website for the California Unified Certification Program. As I said earlier, we follow everybody in the certification agency that I mentioned before, all use the same process, and we all do the same thing. So anyone in the agency can do that. For more information, you can go to California UCP.dbesystem.com. All right, now we had talked about how it all works. You just, in this case, if you're going to go certified through Caltrans, you'll go to dot.ca.gov. You'll stick on programs, click on programs. You go to my office, Office of Civil Rights, and then you'll go certification, click on that. And then you go to certified agency, which is us. You can use any other ones if you choose, but you can find Caltrans and then we'll certify you accordingly. The process is pretty simple and straightforward in regards to the steps you need to take. However, I just want to make sure that you understand that as you're going through these processes step by step, it does take time and energy. As I said, there is a site visit. There's an application process to look at your financials. So all of that stuff, you have to make sure, and my recommendation is before you apply for any certification, whether it be for the DBE program and or the state's program, find out what you need, gather all that information up that you can. And then when you're ready to apply and going through the questions and the steps, you have all the information you need, and you don't have to be running back and forth to find information that is required for the certification. So that's here's the steps. You apply, you go online, you go to California, Caltrans, you're going to create an account. I don't want to get really in depth, just to let you know that the process is step by step, and it's available to you if you go to the first link that I sent to you on the beginning. Like I said, on there, we talk about your tax ID, your business information, your contact information, and of course, the person that's going to represent your company contact. All of that is you need to have. Like as I said earlier, go to the website, get all the information you need so that you can apply. Now, the application process, if you go to that, it takes about 90 plus days. And that's because we have to go through all the questions, check all your financial data. You have to upload all these requirements. Here's the link where you're going to do all that, because you can do it online. www.caltransdbesystems.com. And as I said, if you go to the Office of Civil Rights website, it'll list all the little things you need. Do that first before you apply. Okay. So we got frequently asked questions. One of the things is that, does it cost for applying? It does not cost. There is no monetary cost for you applying for certification. There is a time cost. And of course, for businesses, time is money. However, you don't have any upfront cost. You can mail your application in should you decide to do that. However, my recommendation is you just submit it online. It's faster, quicker. You don't have that lag time between post offices. Now, as it says, how long does it take to respond after I submit my application? Well, it all depends. But it could take up to a month because of the processes we need to take. Now, here's some of the resources. I just want to get to you that you got this. Is that here's our office, DB specific resources. That's really important for you when it comes to this. We have the certification email. We're Monday through Friday, the telephone number. You're looking at DOT, which oversees the whole program itself for the DBE program. There's the link there. Now, we did talk about, and it was mentioned in the very first slide, there is a, there is a 8A program. Well, you definitely want to go through the federal government of that, but in this case, if you're still looking at DBE information, there is from the federal program itself. It's the Federal Highway Administration, has a lot more data for you when you go to those links. Now, one of the things that I recommend that you also do, there's a lot of resources out there to make your job easier to get certification, whether it be small business, disabled vets for business enterprise, and or DBE. Use these resources. You have the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, the Small Business SBDC Developmental Centers, and of course there's SCORE. All of them provide you with no cost help to help you through the certification process of any or all three of those certifications that are available to you should you qualify. Got any more questions, please reach out, put it in the chat, or you can send them to Ashley. Ashley would make sure that I get them so that we can fully put it in writing and answer your questions thereafter. Anything else, reach out. Ashley's your contact. Thank you very much, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael. And thank you to DGS and our compliance team, as well as DOT, for the excellent presentations. This concludes the presentation portion of the workshop. We'll now open for question and answer session, sorry, Q&A. If you don't have any questions, feel free to sign off. We'll remain here until 2 p.m. But if you do have questions that are not related to small business or certification, and they're specifically for the procurement, those will need to be directed to Richard Yost, and that email address is sustain@hsr.ca.gov. I will go ahead and put that in the chat, as well as his phone number. We won't be able to answer any questions regarding the procurement. However, our procurement team will provide a written response to all inquiries and actually capture that so that everyone is able to see the questions that are being posed. But for now, we'll open our Q&A up, and please feel free to put your questions in there, and we will get to you as they arrive. Thank you so much, everyone, and good luck to you all.
Oh, there's one in the Q&A right now. Is there? Oh, already. Thank you. It's just a thank you.
You're welcome, Dana. Thank you for coming.
That's right. Thank you. AJ, Dana, Ahmed, Jeffrey, Jose, and Ashman. No questions? If you don't have any questions, we must have did an awesome job. Thank you very much for attending.
Also in the chat, I'm going to put my email to my team, and then that will from the first slide that I had up, that just so you guys can contact me directly if you need anything, and just make sure you mention, you attended the session and that you had a question for me or my team, and we'll get back to those as well. So there's a question in the chat from Jeffrey Violet asking if we can get a copy today of Wayne's presentation to review. Yes, all presentation materials, the PowerPoint, as well as a recording of this and information about the bid will be posted on High Speed Rail's website once it is remediated and available to be shared. It usually takes about 2 weeks, I think, at most to get that information up there, but just look forward to that information being posted on there, and you can download everything from today's presentation. In the chat, I also put the website link to where all of our contracts are out for bid on high-speed rail, so you can take a look at each of those available procurements and all the dates, the key action dates, as well as material for each of those procurements. And this one is the sustainability services. Don't see any more questions in the chat, please. We have another 15 minutes or so, 14 minutes till we close down today's workshop. So if you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer accordingly. And for those of you who are going to sign off, thank you so much for attending. Again, I'm Ashley, a small business advocate here at High Speed Rail, and I am here to assist you in all of your small business needs.
Ashley, thank you very much for the invitation. We really appreciate it on behalf of Caltrans. Wayne, it's good to see you. CC, I'll remain on the line, but I just wanted to say thank you. Oh, Peggy's here.
You're muted, Ashley.
Sorry. So I was saying thank you for joining us, Michael and Wayne, and obviously CC for your great presentations. We definitely rely and lean on the subject matter experts of certification. So thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Looks like we have two remaining attendees, Jose Flores and Osman. You guys have any questions for us before we conclude today's session?
Doesn't look like it. Ashley or Peggy, where's Peggy?
Peggy's on the call. She's in compliance in our compliance team. She's our small business compliance specialist.
Oh, I remember. I remember Peggy. We used to work over in Fresno.
Yes, hi, Michael. I remember you.
Yes, you helped us do the I worked with you doing the high-speed rail with SCORE, I think it was. Yeah, okay. I knew the name looked familiar. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Wow. Well, we have only two more participants, Jose and Ashman. Maybe we can ask Jose, are they free to talk? I mean, are they certified as small you guys hold any certifications, Jose or Ashman? Could you put that in the chat if you do? You're still online unless you just forgot to log off. Hmm. Doesn't look like it. Hmm. Well, actually, it would appear that there's no questions and they don't seem to answer. So,
If you want to sign off, you can feel free to sign off, Michael. I'm going to hang around until 2. Anyone else that wants to sign off can sign off. And if any questions come up, I will definitely share them with you and point them in your direction.
that's awesome. You have another presentation and no, I don't. Oh, okay. 3 plus 4.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us today.
No, it was my pleasure. I mean, I'm glad to be doing work with high speed rail. I mean, when I first started working with DGS, I was a representative to high speed rail, and I did a lot of work with Peggy, and some of the other people that came from Caltrans. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. I mean, I've since retired. Anyway,
Hey, what's Katrina doing? Katrina Blair.
oh, she's still there. She's there?
She's still here. Yes, I report directly to Katrina.
Ah, okay,
Yeah, she oversees the process of program and development. So
okay.
all right, so, oh no, we still have 2 people online. I still wanted to I guess I'll call you, maybe we'll get an answer, participation goal.
Anyway, I've got a 2 o'clock meeting, so I am gonna say goodbye. Thanks to everyone.
thank you, Wayne. Have a great day. If I have any questions, I will send them your way. Same thing for you,
Okay.
Michael.
And,
Thank you.
and you said January 5th, huh?
January 5th.
Are you
I'll
gonna
put it-
send us a meeting notice there, young lady?
Yes, we
Oh,
will.
Of
Yeah.
course she will.
Oh,
Okay,
I had confusion on today or tomorrow when this was supposed to do. That's the reason why I had to reach out. My calendar says tomorrow.
Just
this
as a
event.
reminder, everyone, this meeting's being recorded. It's going to go online. So let's keep those offline and let's just take that. We'll discuss those later.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this concludes the workshop panel. Thank you everyone for attending, and please make sure to reach out to us if you have any questions. Have a great day.